Hi, I'm Casey Fahrer, the news director of the Bellmore Merrick Broadcasting Program. Earlier this week, I got the chance to sit down and talk to the superintendent and assistant superintendent, Mr. DeTommaso and Mr. Harrington. We've been posting clips of the interview every day on the Daily Report, but today, for those who would like to see the full interview with Mr. DeTommaso and Mr. Harrington, I now present it to you. So, what are the initial thoughts on how Bellmore Merrick prepares to open for next year due to the coronavirus?
Yeah, so next year is tricky. We're really trying to negotiate our way through this year. We have a lot of important things that still have to happen, for the 2019-20 school year. And next year is definitely challenging at this point. We have to plan for it. We have to try to figure out different scenarios depending on what the world looks like, what the region looks like at this time. We'll be taking a lot of guidance from the governor's office. So a lot of that is up in the air in terms of, starting school in September. We will be prepared for whatever comes our way, either an opening in September, a regular opening, a combination of a regular opening and an online opening, whatever it is. We're just planning for a bunch of different scenarios that may or may not happen. There's just so much we don't know at this point as we sit here on May 4th. It's tough to think, really to try to figure out what life will look like in September. Hoping for all hope that we can just open September, but we have to figure out alternative plans, and that's as per the governor's last executive order. So we'll be creating a bunch of different scenarios. We've already started working on them, depending on, again, what life is like at that time. Mike?
Yeah, no, I think, we've been fortunate from the beginning. Mr. DeTommaso has sort of charged us with trying to be out in front and being prepared. And now that we know that we do have a number of circumstances that we could encounter in the fall, it's utilizing our resources and sort of evaluating what's gone really well with remote distance learning and what needs improvement and more structure, and looking at that whole picture. I mean, we'll wait to see what the parameters are that are given to school districts and how to open, but we'll be prepared no matter what, and I think that's like, and how do you do that? It's utilizing, the feedback that we've received, from students, from parents, from our teachers who have done a great job, from the administrative team, so together, we will have plans in place and be ready.
And personally, do you guys think that the school environment will be like this when we get into September and October, or more of a more natural school type of environment?
Yeah, tricky, really tricky question. Excellent question, but a tricky one. I wish I had the answer to that. If I had the answer to that, I would be, a pretty valuable person right now, because that is the question that school districts and businesses and, I would say everyone is asking, what will, life look like in the next couple of months? And as far as, the school district is concerned, schools across the country, again, what will, in our own Bellmore Merrick world, what will life look like in Nassau County? Will cases be down? Will social distancing, the relaxation of it, cause more issues? Will the summer months, help out with this, with the pandemic and the virus? All of those things are certainly to come, and it would be incredibly challenging to predict. This is what I can predict, and this is what I can tell you, is that Bellmore Merrick, in terms of, our kids and families and our Bellmore Merrick community, we will be ready. We will be ready, whatever those circumstances circumstances, whatever the circumstances are in front of us, we'll be prepared. And that's about the best, way I can approach it. If it is online, we will continue to get better and better every day in our remote learning. If it's a combination, which, we're also looking at right now, we'll be prepared and it'll be as good as any place, anywhere that's doing it. If it is sort of like regular school day, that would be wonderful. So I'm not, again, this is one of those things that's very, very difficult to predict.
And
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I know what I want and I know what I hope for, but I don't know either, really what it's going to look like. We will definitely be ready. And, again, we just, our hearts go out to the kids. We want it to be as normal as possible. There may be a new normal for everybody in the world, and we'll adapt to that. But again, we know what's in our hearts and we know what we want, but we don't know what it will look like in the fall.
And moving to more immediate events like graduation and other events that would be happening at the end of this school year, do you know any plans of what will come with that?
Yeah, so that is our priority right now. We have, right now, as we move through the remaining weeks of school with, remote learning, our heart breaks for seniors. There's no question about it. I mean, we feel bad for kids and families, in all our schools and all our grades. But seniors, this is, particularly difficult. And it hurts us all not to be able to do those things that are really, sort of symbolize the end of your senior year. And so we're going to make sure that we do them. And we're going to do them as well as we possibly can. So we're right now planning for the same things that would normally happen. Senior awards, letters, athletic letters being sent home, Booster Club scholarships and awards being given out. And of course, as we move toward graduation and moving up, those two ceremonies. That is the priority right now, is to come up with a number of solutions that really are going to sort of, we want that culminating event to be special for kids and families, no matter what the circumstance is. So some things, again, are out of our control. 2 weeks out from now, a month out from now, what will school districts, what will all of us, what will we be allowed to do? Can we gather in X number of groups, 50, 100, 150? Will we be allowed to have events if we social distance and plan and prepare? So we have a number of different graduation scenarios that each of the principals are working on and moving up, that they're working on depending on the situation. We would love to avoid strictly, this virtual graduation. I don't think many people just, feel that. And we don't either. But we want to make sure that these seniors get recognized in a special way so that they along with their families can celebrate this really incredible accomplishment. 13 years, many kids in the Bellmore Merricks, the school district. So rest assured, we will be absolutely, figuring out the best way to do this. I know the principals are working with, kids. I think they're speaking with some of the leaders in the school and, some parents and PTAs. And we're going to try to sort of firm that up as best we can with the knowledge that we'll have within the next several weeks. I mean, if we can graduate kids in June, and moving up in June, we would absolutely love to do it. If we need to wait till later on because, in July or August, because we think that things are moving in the right direction, then we're going to go in that. I mean, I'll graduate kids in a ceremony, when kids, if they come back from college in November. Either way, Bellmore Merrick is going to have this event. And we're going to have this event that's going to be memorable, for everyone, to take part in it. That absolutely has to happen. It's crucial and it's important, for the kids, for their families, and for the Bellmore Merrick community.
Yeah, I think the keys there, we do need some further guidance. We really do want to try and avoid a true virtual graduation if we can. That's that's the key. It's like, we're hoping that things get a little better and there are some, restrictions lifted in terms of large group gatherings, and then we'll plan around those parameters as well. We'll figure out what the capacity is, we'll figure out what the distancing is, and we'll figure out how to create a celebration, a ceremony that seniors are entitled to. 100% we are heartbroken for seniors, heartbroken. And we've said that time and we feel it. And, can't imagine going through that. So we need to do the best we can to take care of them.
And speaking of the
you're asking about the parade. That's an example.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of it. It was, I got a chance to go to the three of them, to watch, to walk around, to see the teachers, and then the start of the parades. They were unreal. We have gotten emails from staff and parents and kids who were so appreciative to have that celebration. I mean, staff, the joy that you could sense and hear from the staff was unreal to see. I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to see any of them, but I would say 95 to 100% of the staff in each of the three high schools that did this was in attendance. They were happy to see each other. They were so happy to see kids. Everybody is missing, everybody. You got to remember, when you become a teacher and an educator, this is what you do. This is where you want to be. And to not have that opportunity is crushing. And when you're a kid, as much as you may complain about it every now and then, you want to be in school. You want to be with your friends, with your teachers, learning, activities, clubs, sports, drama, whatever it might be. And that was so needed. It was joyous would be the best way to describe all of them. And it was creative and it was well done. And kudos to the principals and everybody that worked with them on setting it up, and the student leaders, because it just showed, how much the Bellmore Merrick, staff is connected to kids, and how much kids are connected to the Bellmore Merrick staff, which is what makes this place special. But it also leads us to, it drives us to have this, these ending events that are special, for kids and families.
Yeah, it was. I also was able to get around to two of the three schools, and honestly, and I'll tell you, one of the person who was most excited was Mr. DeTommaso. So he's calling me on the phone, and he's like, "You got to see this, fire trucks, his flags, is it?" Honestly, and we both were like kids, watching from a distance, across, and I'm watching, the teachers and the kid, and it's just like, that's it. That's what it's about, and we were so happy that kids felt like it was a really good day, and that they went into the weekend, after honestly hearing some pretty devastating news from the governor that morning, being able to spend the afternoon in that light, in the parade, and getting that interaction was really, really important. And we were really happy with it.
And you may have touched on this already, but how would you say the commitment parade came about, the idea for it?
Yeah, I think the idea had been floated out there. I think it was out there a little bit, and a few of the principals, took a look at it, and they texted, they sent me an email saying, "Hey, what do you think about doing, something like this?" And I had a very short answer. If you remember, Mr. Harrington, I went, "Go for it." It was just it. 3 words: go for it. And that's how they ended up setting it up. I know they worked with their student leaders, and they worked with, a bunch of other people. I know there were many parents involved. And the next thing you know, it kept building, and they worked very hard at it. So, I think that's pretty much how it started. And it was, and Mr. Harrington is right. I mean, we've been writing some tough emails, and sending them home, the ending of, plays, or having to cancel trips, over the last, 6 or 7 weeks. We've tried to send, some positive messages, and some, the schools have sent some funny videos, and, to try to keep everyone engaged. But what we did on Friday was sending home an email that's ending school as we've known it, as I have known it for 32 years in education. Ending school, this whole thing began on March 13th, and now ending school for the remainder of the school year. It's devastating. It's devastating for educators. It's devastating for families. It's devastating for kids. Now, I recognize that there are worse things out there, that people are having to deal with, but and just take our world for a moment, that, our mission, our career, and kids are in school. That was a tough email to write and to send. And then, I don't know, literally 5 or 6 hours later is one of the most joyous occasions, I can remember in my 32 years in school. So, that's how it came about. And that was, it's like Mr. Harrington has said, it was like perfect timing. It was perfect.
And before I that's the end of the questions I have. I just want to thank the two of you, and as well as the rest of the people in the district, for continuing to care for everyone and make sure everything goes not as planned, but as planned as it could be.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Listen, BMB, thank you for what you're doing. You've had a huge role in this thing. As the leader of BMB, no question, it's the voice of what's happening in Bellmore Merrick. I know you've interviewed Mr. Harrington a couple of times. I sent in the video. We've interviewed. I played the game on Friday. I had trouble downloading all my gear, my spirit wear. But, you guys have been the voice of what's happening. And I think it's been really very, very important for people, to get those messages all the time. It's one thing to get an email from me or from Mr. Harrington or from the principals. It's another thing to see kids in action, taking care of this. And when we, put this program together, 4 or 5 years ago, I couldn't have imagined that the role was going to be this vital at this time. So thank you to everyone please, give our thanks to everyone at BMB for just, keeping us informed and really, I think in many ways has kept kids, and families kind of calm about what's happening because of the information that you're putting out. So thank you, and thank you to your team.
No problem.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Casey. As I said before, thank you very much. Really, you guys have gone above and beyond for this community. So please relay that to Mr. Stein and Mr. Russell, Ms. Kalish, and the whole crew over there.
No problem.
Yeah, next year we're going to nominate BMB for the Herald Person of the Year. What do you think about that, Mr. Harrington?
I think that's right, spot on.
I wish I could be there.
Yeah. Well, if the award is given, which it should, we'll invite you back. You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
All right, take care. Have a great day.